Hello, 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 welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we are on the dyno with my Honda Grom that I put a built CBR 250 engine into. And now it is a 301cc. It has a ported big valve cylinder head, a set of Robert Farnham stage 3 camshafts, Paul LaVista big throttle body and big header with a Brox muffler. And I tuned this bike with an A-Racer Super 2 computer. What? Are you making fun of my headphones?
No, and then I was thinking, oh, Joe's seat and Greg's tires and Wilbur's chain.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. On E85, I tuned it on the Super 2 computer and it went like 890, my first pass ever. So it definitely has some room for improvement. My chain was skipping a ton of stuff, but it rips. This thing with street tires on it will spin the tire. If I crack it hard enough from like a 5-mile-an-hour roll, it'll just spin the tire. Anyways, it's a blast. It's a ton of fun, but I wanted to see if we can make some more power, and I wanted to start by making sure we have enough fuel system to make more power. So if I add a turbo to this bike or nitrous or anything like that, I want to make sure we have enough fuel system in order to do that. So I built this custom fuel system on this bike with a eBay regulator, the same exact fuel pressure regulator that I run on my 8-second Mustang with the twin turbo LS swap. I run that same regulator, and I actually slammed a Walbro 255 fuel pump in this stock Honda Grom fuel tank. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the level sensor or anything like that, but I did get a Walbro 255 to fit inside of the fuel tank. I might insert some pictures of how the pump assembly looks, and it actually fits into the tank at the lowest spot, so it picks up fuel perfectly. Me and my buddy actually built a custom top hat for the fuel pump to sit on, and it uses the stock fuel pump brackets to bolt everything into the tank. And then it has a 6AN feed line going to a 6AN return line back into the bottom of the tank. I welded in a 6AN fitting on the bottom of the tank to return the excess fuel. So I did all that, and I actually just fit in a LS3 height injector. Maybe I'll insert a picture of the LS3 height injector that I fit into this thing. It is a Bosch 75-pound injector from Snake Eater Performance. I fit that injector in because I had it laying around, and on my old motor I actually hydro locked it, and I was running a Fuel Tech FT450, and I think I really just didn't have the tune-up that good on that thing, and I whacked the throttle when I was cruising it, and I think I actually ended up hydro locking the motor. I thought it might have been the injector that failed and some other things, but after further inspection I do just think that the tip-in, the throttle enrichment settings on the Fuel Tech with the last motor probably weren't the best, and it ended up kicking a rod. So this motor is a lot more sturdy, it's a lot bigger of an engine. I think it'll take a little bit more abuse, and with the A-Racer Super 2, it's configured very good currently with E85. I'm going to play around with some tuning and see if we can make it work, but I wanted to see if we had enough fuel system to run Nitro-methanol. So this is actually RC car fuel that I went and bought from the local hobby shop. This is 20% nitro fuel and 80% methanol. So, and it does have oil additives, and I like the fact that it has oil additives because the nitro and methanol are super hard on the fuel system. So if we have a little splash of oil, like what the RC car stuff runs, I'm thinking that the fuel system should be able to survive at least through the dyno runs here. And I want to see how much of a difference this is really going to make. So let's get right to it. I'm going to do a pull on E85 to start, and after I get an E85 baseline, I'm going to drain the tank and I'm going to pour in this Nitro-methanol, and I'm hoping we have enough fuel system to cover this, because With E85, you typically need 30 to 50% more fuel flow than you do on gasoline alone. When you step up to methanol, you need another 30 to 50%. So I don't know if we're gonna have enough, but we're gonna find out. I think it'd be a cool experiment. And I'm just gonna tune on the gas scale. I'm not gonna overcomplicate shit. And I'm gonna see if the O2 sensor can read the fuel, etc. I've never played with nitro, and I want to, and I feel like the Grom is a great test dummy. Alright guys, so we just did our first run with the new fuel system, and this is still on E85. And at the top end of the pull, it really kind of was getting rich. It didn't want to continue building RPM very good. As you can see on the power curve up here, you can see that we were making good flat power until, you know, 11,000, 12,000 RPM or so. You can see that the blue line, the horsepower line, started to fall off. We only made 38.4 horsepower, and I'm blaming the fuel because of that. We actually got a data log of that run, and you can see right when we started off, the air fuel was like 13.3, and then down to 12.7, and then you can see up at the top end, you know, 10,000 RPM and above, we're at 11.3 air fuel, which this map I didn't touch from the old system. So I think this is just showing the amount of fuel pressure drop that the stock fuel system had, because this was 12.5, 12.8 before, and now it's 11.2, 11.5, etc. So I think with the added fuel pressure, because I think a stock Grom makes like 20 pounds of fuel pressure, 25 pounds of fuel pressure, and now we're running 42 pounds of fuel pressure. So almost double the fuel pressure and a little bit bigger injector, because the injector that was in here was the Steady Garage upgraded fuel injector, which actually flows around like 400, 450 cc. This is a 750, so, but I compensated base fuel for the injector size. The fact that it went rich up top just shows the fuel pressure difference, in my opinion. So I'm gonna have to go in on the A-Racer software, and I'm gonna try to clean up this fuel a little bit. And after I do a fuel change, I'm gonna do one more run on E85. And if we can get around that 40 horsepower range where it was before, we should be able to try a different fuel with not a lot of other variables and see if it's gonna be any better. Alright guys, so I had some issues with the bike. When the bike would hit like 9,600 or 10,000 RPM, it almost acted like an early rev limiter because it was so rich up top. So I finally got it squared away to the point where it's making 39.6 horsepower, about 40. It was super hot. I was doing a ton of back-to-back runs. If I cool it off on this same exact run, it would probably make like 40.5 or 41 horsepower. But another thing is the variables aren't all the same as the other day where it made 42. I have the chain a ton tighter. I mean, this thing is super tight right now because I've been launching it. I've been practicing drag racing and launching with the bike, and I need to have the chain really tight when I do that. So that in conjunction with this thing's actually geared a little bit taller now, might be the difference in that 1 horsepower that we're seeing right now on the dyno. So I think it's a good baseline though. For right now, 40 horsepower we can say is what the best we've made today on E85. I had to pull nearly 40% fuel above 9600 with the old fuel system compared to the new stuff, because it actually has fuel pressure up there where previously it was dying off so hard that, like, I'll show you the fuel map. So this is the fuel map right now, and I'm doing, don't mind, I'll show you on the cursor here. All this stuff right here is where I did not adjust. So this is what the old fuel values were, you know, 420, 410, 405, 415, and this is where we're at now. Pretty much 100 points off, or 100 points lower. And this is where it is, where it's running right now. I just took this chunk and adjusted it. I did not adjust up here yet. I'm just doing this for testing. So you can see this is the old fuel value, all these red and stuff right here, and now we're right here. So we have a ton of fuel on tap ready to go. So I'm gonna try to smooth out this fuel map, and we're gonna put some nitro in the tank. I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to add probably 50% more fuel to the entire map, and we're gonna see if it even starts. We're gonna see how it runs, but we know that we have way more fuel capability than we did before, and the bike is sounding really good. So I'm gonna adjust the fueling, and I'm gonna pour in some nitro. We have probably still a quarter tank of E85 in it. I'm debating on draining it completely, because if we drain it completely, then we know for sure, like, it's on the RC car gas, for sure. So I'll probably do that quick. Just take the return line off of the fuel tank, and I'll put it into a jug, and then we'll pour this shit right in, and see what kind of power it makes. I have a jug of M1 over here as well, just straight methanol without the nitro, and I don't know if that will do much, or if this is going to be the same as M1. I don't know. But I think we're just going to go right for this, because I don't want to be out here all night, and we're just going to see if it picks up any power. I'm really curious. So I'm just taking the return line here, and I'm going to cycle the key until we get no more fuel coming out.
What happened to your thumb? Doesn't really have a smell, huh?
Not really.
So how much E85 did you leave in there?
Like fucking none.
Should you be using a funnel?
Probably. I'm wasting $30 right here. All right. That's kind of scary. We'll let the arrow. You guys should post in the comments if you think it'll even start. Like, Nitro RC cars need a glow plug to get it to fire.
Where'd you get this idea from?
What do you mean?
To put this in here? Is that a dumb question?
This is the fuel that Top Fuel dragsters use. It's extremely expensive. It's pretty much nitrous in the fuel. I'm just hoping it'll pick up like 7 horsepower. If it picks up like over 5, it might be worth it. If it doesn't pick up even 5, fuck if I'm ever running it again. But I wanted to play with it, and I want to see how it's going to be. And if it doesn't start, we're just going to squirt some fucking gas or something in right in the throttle body to get it to fire. And then once it's running, it should stay running, I'm hoping. But straight off the get, we're gonna have to put probably another 50% of fuel in the entire tune. So we're gonna probably start there and then see if it starts. I'm gonna wipe off any excess fuel that may have gotten on the ground. A lot of people told me I'm gonna blow it up. We'll see. Because if I can get it dialed, maybe I can have a tune for the racetrack on nitro, and then, you know, just run E85 or whatever if I want to just ride it on the street. All right, let's prime the system. Let's see if it starts. I'm not going to touch anything. I just want to see if it starts. It sounds smooth. Here, look at this. This is our air fuel. Let's see if it gets any leaner as it runs. It smells like a fucking RC car, dude. Smell it? She's starting to get a little leaner. Now it's working through the system a little bit. So I'm going to add fuel. Ooh, that's just going to make your eyes burn.
Nasty.
That's going to make your eyes burn. It fires right up though. Look at the smoke. It's working through now. It definitely needs more fuel. It literally smells like a Nitro RC car. All right, so I'm just gonna go in here and we're gonna stuff a ton of fuel in this thing and just see how it'll do. I'm just gonna take the whole map, the entire fuel map here, and I'm just gonna slam it with some fuel. All right. I'm gonna save as. Nitro test 1. I probably just put realistically like 70% fuel in this thing. I'm just slamming it with all it's got right now.
Shouldn't you like work your way up or something?
Well, we'd rather start rich.
Oh. Okay.
And nitro likes to run even richer than like gas. And we don't have a wideband for it, but we're just gonna assume that we're gonna just try to run like an 11 air fuel, something really rich. It's probably not even gonna fucking fire it, being that rich. I might even have to gap the spark plug down. I don't know though. So we're uploading our change quick. I'm gonna show them that. Upload completed. So we'll see how it runs now. Air fuel, I put a lot of fuel in this thing. I'm gonna get to it because I don't know how long this fuel is gonna last. So I'm just gonna whack it. Woo! Burning nitro, baby! Can't say I've ever done this before. Okay, so this is probably the coolest thing I think I've ever done. As soon as I fired it, you guys probably saw, like, when I snapped the throttle, it's literally like, whop, like, it's so crisp. It sounds like it's on nitrous. It is insane. I just did a little bit of a pull to probably like 9,000 RPM or so, just to kind of feel it out and see how it was gonna act on the fuel. I literally just guessed and I chucked a ton of fuel in it, and it runs pretty good. But down low, lower RPM, it's like 9.5 air fuel, 9.5 air fuel, and you couldn't even tell. It loved it. Nitro and methanol love to be rich. And when I say rich, I mean like on the gas scale, you have to think of this. I'm on the gasoline scale. I'm not using lambda or anything like that. I'm using air fuel ratio, gasoline scale. 9.5 air fuel, this thing was happier than shit. As it started coming into the camshafts, where this bike kind of likes to be RPM wise, the air fuel kind of came up to like a 12.5, 13.0. And we can see here on the fuel map, you can see my air fuel chart. It overlays the air fuel like as you hit the cell. So you can see down here, we're at like a 9.7, 10.3, 10.3, 11.8, and then it starts going like 13, 12.5, 12.6. So I think from this area here and above, I'm gonna chuck some more fuel in, just to be safe. So I have to clean this up because it's very, it doesn't look good. So I'm gonna clean up this part of the fuel map, and we're probably gonna whack it with a dyno run right away because I don't know how long this fuel is gonna last. It's probably gonna suck through this gallon in like 4 pulls. So I'm gonna clean up the fuel. I'm gonna keep it rich. When I say rich, I'm gonna try to shoot for like an 11.5. It might even want more than that. And if somebody wants to donate more nitro fuel to the cause, I would gladly keep tuning with it, but I wanna just get a baseline around the same air fuel, just a little richer than E85, and I wanna see what it does for the power, because fucking seat of the pants, just listening to it, it's pissed. It is ripping. All right, so this is gonna be the first dyno run that's recording. I put a lot more fuel in it up top, and hopefully we can be around 11's air fuel. And I'm gonna see how the power curve looks, and we're gonna compare it to the best run on E85 today. Alright guys, I'm making another fuel change. I'm just chucking a ton of fuel in it. The last run did make more power, but not as much as I figured it would. It probably needs a lot more tuning, to be honest. But you can see here around 7,000 we picked up quite a bit of power. In the same spot, say we went from 24 horsepower to 28 horsepower. So we picked up 4 horsepower in the mid-range, and then closer to the top end we were making 39.3, and now we're making 41.3. So picked up 2 horsepower up top, 4 down in the middle, and then we kind of equaled out here in the center. I don't know what was up with that. So I'm just gonna try even richer air fuel to see what that does. If that doesn't do it, maybe we'll go the opposite way. All right guys, I did another run with the nitro, and you can see down low, you know, lower RPM down here. Our air fuel is like 10.6, 9.6, 9.2, 8.1, 10.1, and then it starts going 12.50 or so. 13.0, 12.5, 12.6, 12.7, 12.4, 12.5, 12.1, the rest of the run. And where it's in the 12s, it made zero difference in power on the second run that we just did. So, but down low, let's just look at power here. We picked up a considerable amount of power down low, where the air fuel was like 10.0. Just on that last run, we picked up 18 to 22, 4 horsepower from going from like a 11.5 to a 9.5 air fuel. So if I'm gonna try one more run, and I'm gonna slam a ton more fuel in the fuel map. It might be out of injector, believe it or not. It's got a 750cc injector and 40 pounds of base pressure. We could do 60 pounds of base pressure, but I don't really want to. I'm gonna try to just slam, I don't know, another like 40% of fuel in it and see what happens. I don't know, we'll find out. Let's try it. Up here in the top end, it will not let me make a bigger value for fuel. Like I just keep hitting the up arrow and it doesn't get any bigger. So this is probably gonna be injector wide open. Wide open injector above like 8,000 RPM. Let's try it. I'm actually surprised at how good it does start though. Remember, this nitro has oil in it for RC cars. Alright guys, I might call it quits for tonight. This is the difference so far between E85 and Nitro. So you can see at the top we went from 39 to 39 to 42.2. 39 to 42. So I mean it's about a 3 horsepower gain. There's 4 horsepower in some spots. And I would assume if we had enough fuel way at the top end, we'd be making like 43 horsepower, somewhere around there. Do I think this is worth it? Maybe on like a, you know, a higher percentage of nitro. Also, I wanted to show you the difference in a 12.5 air fuel to an 11.5. This thing really wants a 10.0 air fuel. 10.0, 9.5 is where it makes that 4 horsepower jump. So this is the difference between 12.5 air fuel and 11.5. And if we could go to a 10.5 air fuel, so at this spot we were making 34.7, and now we're making 34, wow, that's 2 horsepower, going from 12.5 to 11.5. So I bet you we could get another 2 horsepower from a 10.5 air fuel. And then after 10.5, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. I went as low as 8.5 down low, and it didn't pick up. So the sweet spot on the gas scale seems to be like a 10.5, 10.0, 10.5 air fuel. And if we could do that, if we could maintain that 10.5 air fuel, we would pick up 4 horsepower pretty much everywhere across the board. So I mean, you could put 2 horsepower on top of this. I bet you we'd see 44, 45 horsepower if I had it fully optimized. I could crank up the base pressure a little bit and try another run, but I already got a headache out here, guys. This shit stinks. My entire shop reeks like an RC car. But it's cool. I think we have enough fuel to put a turbo on this thing. If we can maintain that kind of air fuel on nitro, I think we'll be okay for E85 with a turbo. So that's kind of what I'm going to plan for. Try to get a turbo on this thing. I think we'll have enough fuel system for E85 and boost, and I think that's going to make even way more power than this. I'm hoping with a turbo this thing clears 60 horsepower, because the nitro can only do so much, and it's fucking expensive. So 20%, you can save 4 to 5 horsepower on this build it picked up. It sounds cool, and it's got a lot of snap, and it runs better. It runs better. So moral of the story, I think, with the nitro on the Grom is it probably would make like 5 horsepower over what it did before. I did not really spend a ton of time tuning the nitro. I probably could have spent another hour just getting everything optimized, maybe putting a little ignition timing in it, shit like that. But I wanted to just see what the fuel did alone, and I think it's very expensive for the amount of gain that I'm getting, and I'll need even more fuel system. Say if I go to like a 40% mix, I would need even more fuel system. So say I'm 120% over what I would need with gasoline right now, I'd probably need 140% over gasoline with a 40% mix. And that injector size would be super big. You can way better utilize that amount of fuel flow with E85, in my opinion, and like a turbocharger or supercharger or something like that, or nitrous even. You'd be able to utilize that fuel and make more power potential than just fuel alone. But this was a really cool experiment, and I just wanted to see what this shit would do, because I've never played with it before, and I wanted to just experiment and bring you guys along for the ride. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave it a like and share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great night and a better tomorrow.